Hello, darling children. So, I have a couple of extra examples for you that I'm going to do about trig. This is 8-3. So, if we didn't quite get through a lot of examples for some of my classes, or you were absent, or you just need some help on the homework, I am here for you. So, I'm going to do these examples with you of essentially two different types of problems that you're going to see. I mean, there's lots of different types of problems, but these, I think, are the bulk of it, and this is what's going to be on your quiz. Okay. All right, so when we are doing these trig problems, we need to remember our steps. So for step 1, what I want you to always do is label the triangle. Now, when you're labeling in the triangle, it's based on my reference angle. So in example 1, we have this 20-degree angle is my reference angle. By the way, if you haven't drawn this picture, you should pause it right now and draw it. That way, when I go over it, you're not writing and trying to focus. So, this is my reference angle. When I label it, I want to label the hypotenuse. So in this case, this is my hypotenuse here. I want to label the opposite, so that's going to be opposite this angle right here. And then I'm going to label the adjacent, which is right over here. Okay, so those are the three things we should label. It's always the first step. So the next step is you want to figure out the ratio, you want to figure out the correct trig ratio. And this is where we need our SOHCAHTOA, right? Some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on acid. It's so funny. Okay, now, again, what you're going to ask yourself is, what am I given? So which side length am I given? 38, so that is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to be using the hypotenuse. And you also want to ask yourself, what am I trying to solve? What is this problem asking me to solve? And that's going to be x, which is the adjacent. So you see how I circled this A and this H right here. So that tells me, out of my SOHCAHTOA, which sine, cosine, or tangent I want to use. It's A and it's H. So that's going to be A and H right here, which is cosine. Okay, so I know I'm going to be using cosine. So my next step is to set up the equation. And the next step is just solve. So I'll just go ahead and do both of those right here. So since it's cosine, we're going to write cosine, I'll just write the general equation. Cosine of theta equals A over H, so adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? And then we just plug in what we know. So I know theta, remember that theta is always talking about this angle. Theta is a variable. So that is 20 degrees. So cosine of, in parentheses, 20 degrees equals, so let's fill in the adjacent. Well, that's x, what we don't know, and the hypotenuse is 38. So our last step is simply to solve, right? That was step 4, was to solve. Okay, don't really need to write those out, but there you go. So in order to solve this for x, yeah, I'm trying to get x by itself, I need to multiply both sides by the denominator. Always multiply by the denominator. So that's going to be multiplied by 38 on both sides. It cancels it out here. That was the whole point. And we're going to get x equals 38 times cosine of 20 degrees. Okay, we're almost done. Now all that's left is simply to type this into, or really to type this into your calculator. Right? So I'll do that right now. You can hear me. I'm going to do type. 38 times cosine of 20, enter, and you're going to get 35.7083, blah, blah, blah. Right? So we can round that to 35.7 is approximately our answer. Okay, now if you did not get this answer on your calculator, guess what that means? It probably means that you were not in the correct mode. So make sure always before you do quizzes and tests and homework that on your calculator you click the mode button. It's going to be at like the top-ish next to the second button. You just click mode and you go down a couple, just like 3, and then you should see radians and you should see degree. Well, I guess it spells it out. It says radian and then it says degree. So what you need to make sure is that, look, I'm even going to highlight it for you, the degree is highlighted in black, okay? And if it's not, you're going to get the wrong answer. Also, remember what I said about resetting your calculator. If you clear the memory, as in like this, the reset, 712, whatever, second plus memory 712. If you do that, that's going to reset it back to radian. So then you have to go through mode again and just make sure that you are always checking that you're in degree mode when you're solving these problems, or your answer will be incorrect. Okay, we need to be in degree mode. All right, so let's do some other problems then, shall we? Okay, so for example 2 here. Now this one's a little different, so I would really encourage you to watch me. Let me write out the steps again. So step 1 is to label the triangle. So that's going to be, if 56 is our reference angle, opposite is going to be here, the hypotenuse here, and the adjacent here. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is figure out my ratio, SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so to do that, again, what am I asking myself? What am I given? I'm given 15, which is the opposite. And what am I trying to solve? I'm trying to solve for x, which is the adjacent. Okay? And so from there, we're going to set up the equation. So the equation, now that we know, oh, sorry, I didn't figure out the ratio. I circled them. So which one out of my SOHCAHTOA uses O and A? That's right here, O and A. So my tangent ratio is what I'm going to be using. And now I can set up my equation. Tangent of theta equals O over A. Then let's plug in what we know. So again, my reference angle is 56 degrees. So tangent of 56 degrees equals 15 is the opposite, and my adjacent is x. Okay. So here we have a little different problem than before, right? You notice that before, all I had to do was multiply by the denominator. But as you can see, the denominator is x, right? So in these cases, right, this is where the denominator is the variable. It's going to be slightly different. However, we still want to, actually let me move this over here. We still want to multiply both sides by the denominator. You always do that, okay? Just looks a little confusing. So that'll cancel the denominators out, which is what I want. So I get 15 equals x times tangent of 56. However, you do not type x in the calculator. Never type x in the calculator unless you're doing like a graph or something, okay? I'm still trying to solve for this. So what I have to do now is divide both sides by tangent of 56. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to isolate the variable. So I'm trying to get x by itself, which successfully does that on the left. And on the right, I have 15 divided by tangent of 56 degrees. So this right here is exactly what you're going to type into your calculator. 15, look, here I go. 15 divided by tangent of 56, enter. And there we go. We get x is approximately 10.11762775. So we're going to say x is approximately 10.1. And that's my answer. So you'll notice that for these problems where the denominator is the variable, right? The variable's in the denominator. You see what we ended up doing right here in this step, we did 15 divided by tangent of 56. So when the denominator has a variable, you're going to end up dividing. 15 divided by tangent of 56. However, for the previous example, if you notice, here's my equation that I set up. I had cosine of 20. Really, it's just, this was my equation. Cosine of 20 equals x over 38. So notice where the variable is at now. He's in the numerator, not the denominator. And what did we end up doing right here? Multiplying. Multiply 38 times cosine of 20. So you can kind of remember those tricks, but mostly as long as you set up the equation and just understand how to solve correctly, you'll be fine. Okay? Feel free to use these notes on the quiz that we're going to take next time. All right? Okay. Good talk. Bye now.